Hi everyone and welcome to today's lesson where we will discuss human design. What is it? Why did I choose to use it in this course? And how can it help you become more confident? So let us start with what exactly is human design. Human design is a very complex system that combines five different more ancient systems such as the I Ching, astrology, Kabbalah, Hindu-Brahmin chakra system, and quantum physics, which is something very new, as all of us know. It is based on the reading of your human design chart, also known as a body graph, which I will show you in a minute, and is calculated using your birth date, time, and place. It shows a lot of information about you and your physical being, which is also one of the reasons why I chose to use human design. So human design, why did I decide to choose it? Because it offers very detailed insights into your personality, how others see you, even though sometimes you don't see it yet, about your life journey, the themes and topics that you will encounter in your life, and that you will struggle with. It is easy to read. It is also relatively easy to find someone to get a reading from. And the links uh, in the description below, I will also link a blog where you can read much more and much bigger details about your human design. But for now, I will just cover some of the basics and some of the things that relate directly to self-confidence. And the last reason is because human design provides some guidance and self-discovery. It highlights where you still have to learn and even gives you some insight into what exactly is the lesson that you're here to learn, which of course will show up more in the more detailed readings, which we will not be covering in this course. So for your body graph, you can create it in the link here. I will upload the slides of this presentation under as a file. And the first thing that I actually want you to do is to look under type. What does it say? Is it generator, manifesting generator, manifester, projector, or reflector? Those are the five types that you have in human design. And I will just cover them in very basic details right now. So the four types are said that there are four because the manifesting generator is a combination between the generator and the manifester. Oh, and let me move my face away from here. Okay, so this is a generator, this is a manifester, projector, and reflector. These four different types are different types of people with different types of strategies for how they should live their lives. Of course, that is something that is subjected to experiment, and I do encourage you to test out if your strategy is right for you. How do you feel when you actually employ your strategy in your day-to-day life? So let's start with what exactly are these four types. The generators, there are the most common types of people in the world, and they are the life force of the earth. So they are always moving, they are always creating, they have this urge to create and to be physical, to move. Manifestors, those are the ones that they're about 8% of the world population. And they're the people that decide they want something, they go out and they get it. They're the people that you hear they have decided to do something and in less than a year they have achieved it. They are the ones that are like a storm, that they just come in, they don't care about anyone else, they do whatever they want to do, and then they continue on. Manifesting generators are something between generators and manifestors because they want to create everything right now, to make it happen right now, such as manifestors, but they do not have that much energy and that much force as manifestors have. So they achieve their goals much quicker than generators, and yet they still want to create and work with others, while the manifestor preferred to work alone and to manage people to get his or her goals done. And usually the manifestors manages everyone else. Projectors, on the other hand, they are almost the complete opposite of manifestors, because they tend to speak to one person at a time, to explore that one person, and have very intense attention. When you're speaking with a projector, you can feel that their entire being is focused on you, that they're paying attention only to you. They're the ones that are here to guide us, to help the generators, manifestors, reflectors, everyone else become a better person. They're here to offer guidance and to offer knowledge. They're very good at digging deep into one particular topic and becoming experts, and then using that knowledge in their day-to-day, and also for earning money. And then you have the reflectors, which are just 1% of the population. They're the least common type in human design, and they're here to sample. They're here to test out everything. They're here to observe and see what's going on, then to make some sort of conclusion, to share it. They're just here to experiment and explore. Each 5 of these types has a strategy. Generators and manifesting generators actually have the same strategy, and that is to respond. So for them, their strategy is actually to wait for opportunities to arise and then to respond to them. Whatever feels the most correct in their body. So for example, if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, when someone tells you to do something, you might actually jump with excitement and be like, yes, I want to do that. Or the complete opposite. You might go back with a very cold feeling and be completely, no, I don't want to do it, I will not do it. And then there is nothing that can make you do it until you actually decide that you want to do that. For the manifestor, their strategy is to inform others around them of what they want to do. Because manifestors have the energy and the will to go ahead and do something that they want to straight away. But that seems intimidating to the other types. So what manifestors should do is actually inform the rest around them what they're planning on doing. So if a manifestor decides that he is going to earn $1 million in a year, he has to inform those around him and then set out, and start working on his goal. And that is how it will go much easier without much resistance. Because if a manifestor doesn't inform those around him or her will become very scared, very uncomfortable with what the manifestor wants to achieve. Projectors, on the other hand, they're waiting for an invite. So they're actually waiting for someone to ask them, for someone to invite them, or for a situation to feel like an invite. They do not have the inner response, such as generators, a straight off yes or no when they hear about an opportunity. But for projectors, they have to hear the question, do you want to take part in this opportunity? Or in some other way, they have to receive an invitation. And the invitation is very different for each projector. So if you want to know more about exactly what feels like an invite, I will link an article under this video so you can read more about what exactly can constitute an invite, because it takes practice for a projector to start feeling when he or she is being invited. And the last one is reflectors, and their strategy is to just sample. Their strategy is to experience as much as they can, and they're often being forgotten, which is not a bad thing, because reflectors just move and they feel a little bit like water, because their role is to observe and their strategy is to observe. Now I want to talk about how do you use human design when it comes to confidence. And the how is actually in 4 parts. First is understanding what the not self is, which is a very basic term into human design. And the not self is when your mind takes charge and gives you a role that it thinks you have to fulfill. that role very often is not what is best for you. And that not self, there's a lot of information online about the different centers, what is their not self. But what is important for you to know is that the not self is in the undefined or empty centers. So for example, when you see a body graph, this is a body graph. This is an empty center. This is a defined center. So the not self is usually regarding your open centers. There are 9 centers in total. So when it comes to your open centers, what I advise you to do is Google human design, whatever your center is open center or not self. And then there are a lot of information. There's a lot of information about what your not self is and how can you recognize it. It's combined with a lot of reflection, which again I will not be covering in this course because this course has a completely different purpose. But if you're interested, definitely utilize Google. And if you're curious, actually, this is the ajna center. This is the head center. This is the throat. Here you have the G center. We will cover parts of this in the course. This is the ego or heart center, which we'll also cover in this course. This is the emotional center or the solar plexus. Here you have the sacral or sacral. This is the only generators and manifesting generators have this center. That is what defines them as that energy type. This is the spleen center. Oh, I'm sorry. And this is the roots center. So whichever you have open like this, so it's white, you can check what the not self is, and then you can experiment with it. You can get to know it, and you can start observing yourself if you're actually displaying the not self or if you're living more in harmony with yourself. The second thing is experiment with your type strategy. So what I just talked about. Observe yourself in your day-to-day life if you're responding according to your strategy, if you're not. How do things work out when you are actually responding to your strategy and when you're not? So for example, let's say a projector is being invited somewhere and they decide to take the plunge. They go and everything goes pretty smoothly. They learn something valuable or they experience something interesting. But when they see the same opportunity without them being invited, they decide to go there, things might not go as smoothly. Maybe they're going to feel very tired after that opportunity. Or maybe just something not so good happens. Of course, this is not meant as an apocalypse happens, but it is just how things tend to flow. Then we talked about the not self of the open and undefined centers. Then it is also great to use Google to take a look at your defined centers, because the defined centers are telling you how you are used to doing certain things, that you have a certain way of approaching certain topics, certain themes, certain situations. And it helps very much to read more and learn more about how exactly do you go around in those types of situations. Maybe you'll see a pattern. And the open centers are not only where the not self is, but they are also where you have to learn. They're where you do not know. They're where your challenges in lives are, and they're often reoccurring themes. The last way you can use human design is by watching the next 3 videos, depending on what centers you have undefined, you have open. So I will shoot 3 more videos, one for the ego center, one for the spleen center, and one for the G center, and talk about how they influence confidence, and especially how the open centers influence confidence. I'm excited to see you there.